Welcome to Ashley on CBD, your one-stop podcast where we drop the truth on all things CBD and maybe some pop culture too. Stick around as we delve deep into the practical health benefits of CBD for you.
Thanks for joining today's show. Our special guest is Don Mattingly, manager of the Miami Marlins, and it's fantastic to talk to Don and catch up. Don admittedly is no CBD expert, so the show isn't really focused on CBD that much, though we do talk about his injury that led him to retire, as well as how he treated it along the way, and the rigors of a 162-game schedule. We talk about the recent Hall of Fame voting. We talk about Don's story of being on The Simpsons and clarify some confusion that I had around that. We also talk about Yogi Berra and what a great person he was. And we wrap up with how Don came to love baseball and his motivations and how he became such a positive person, which is key to his success. And obviously, then we talk a little bit about the future this upcoming season with the Marlins. And I hope you enjoy the show with Yankees legend and National League Manager of the Year, Don Mattingly. Thank you. As always, we're brought to you by Magic Immunity. This is a new mushroom tea that I've been drinking to help build my immune system to be stronger, as well as to give me healthy lungs, healthy heart, and healthy gut. And I also love the fact that it's a neurooptimizer, meaning that it's going to help my brain remain calm, help give me calm, focused energy, and never get the jitters. There's not caffeine in this. Instead, this is packed with life, as they say. Meaning it contains 4 medicinal mushrooms, reishi, lion's mane, chaga, and cordyceps, as well as 12 other organic and natural adaptogens, including cacao, ginger, and turmeric. Give it a try. You can get Magic Immunity on Amazon or at packedwithlife.com. Hope you try it. It tastes great. I'm drinking it right now. On ice. Yummy. Taste the health right there. Well, welcome, Don Mattingly, National League Manager of the Year. Congratulations, Don. It's so good to see you again and to talk. Congratulations. We haven't spoken since that award.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was an interesting year, obviously, with all the things that was going on and is continuing on. But it felt good for our organization. Just, we've struggled and since Derek and the ownerships came in, they've been building this thing and kind of bottom up type stuff. And it's just good. It feels good that we're able to make that move.
Yeah, well, congratulations. I know the year's been tough for everybody, and it certainly gave us some joy rooting for you guys during that run and making it into the playoffs. But and I know you're not an expert on CBD. We were talking about that, but I appreciate you joining us anyway.
Right.
You are an expert on athletic performance and recovery and things like that, and I think that's going to be really relevant to the conversation. But also, you just Yankees legend, and a lot of people look up to you. I know I was a huge fan when I was in high school and college, and those were the days when you were dominating in New York, and it was really fun. So I think everybody
You're making me feel old, man. You got to stop that.
So I know you're a big Yogi Berra fan, and you're close with him. What's your favorite Yogi Berra story?
So many Yogi stories, right? Because everything just kind of naturally with him is just things come out of his mouth. The way he treats people is so special. The one story I like to tell people is really after I had retired and was going back to Yankee spring trainings and just helping out for like a month. Yogi was always around during those. And this particular year, Joe had me going, like I would say, Joe, what do you want me to do? What do you got? Anything you want me to really look at? And so Nick Johnson was a young first baseman we had. And he said, just go wherever Nick goes. I said, okay. So Nick's going to Bradenton. We got a game at 1:00. I go to Bradenton, get caught in the traffic on the way back. And so we get back to the stadium there in Tampa. It's got to be 5:30, 6:00. Well, Yogi's still there. And I'm like, Yogi, have you been here all day? And he goes, yeah. He goes, it would have been all day in the hotel too. And I went, there you go.
There you go.
Right off the bat. But Yogi's one of the best people I think I've ever met in the game. The way he treated you with such respect, no matter if you're young or you were having a good day or a bad day, anybody you see Yogi deal with, it was just pleasant. And I always remember that about him.
It sounds like you a little bit to me. You know, it's the Midwestern. Where was Yogi from? Did he have Midwestern roots at all? I mean,
I think Yogi grew up in St. Louis.
Is that right?
He always tells stories about the hill, right? And playing soccer and being gone all day playing. Him and Joe Graziola.
Yeah.
They seem to be buddies or grew up together.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. That's great. I'm glad I hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
What, in terms of your, your retirement and injuries, I know you hurt your back. How did you hurt your back, Don? What was the problem there?
I don't think there was anything that I did that really hurt it. Looking back after you've been through it all, you realize you probably had it. And I feel like it was congenital. I remember having back problems in high school after a football game or something. I'd end up at the chiropractor. There were different times after, like in a sectional tournament where you play back-to-back games. I remember that third game, I could hardly move in basketball. And then you just keep going on. You're a kid, you're young, you recover. But as we got into it and I started having more and more frequency, all the hitting and twisting that you do and all the work that you do probably just kept wearing down. And I basically had constant inflammation is what I ended up with. I ended up playing on Indocin at the end of my career, 75, probably as high as you could get. And that was really the only way you kind of stayed on the field. And learning like a program, when I played, like now is a lot more progressive as far as how do you take care of the back. And I ended up learning how to do this lumbar stabilization program, which was all about strengthening your core, doing all that. Once I kind of learned that program has been a lifesaver for me because now I'm doing it almost every day, right? And I've laid a base down, so anytime I'm not feeling good, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to make sure I do my program because in California, where I had the clinics I was going to, which is a lot more progressive than the East Coast, it was like when you don't feel good, you got to keep working. And the East Coast was like you don't feel good, rest, lay in bed, stretch your legs. And it just like didn't get any better. And the East Coast was about strength, core, and I learned that program and ended up having surgery years down the road after I retired. But that program has saved me. I can play golf. I can pretty much do whatever I want. You have to watch what you do. But that program is really what kind of changed my career. Or not my career, but really changed my life.
Yeah, that's a good story. So do you take anything these days for inflammation at all? Or just
try not to.
That program? Try
not to. Just from the standpoint of don't want to be taking, Advil, different, all that stuff that can kind of do damage over time. Try to stay away from it as much as possible. And you and I have talked, I always thought about the CBD. And I may be saying it wrong or whatever. I don't know the language of it, but I know, for so long in MLB, that was like still got tested, because the coaches get tested also, and that was considered off limits. And we talked about it because like I would love to try it.
Right.
And I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure now that it's okay to use. So I think it's something that, for me, I don't have near the stress in my body anymore.
Right.
I'm careful, so I don't have the pain anymore as much. But it is something that I would like to look into.
Well, I think it's all part of also of, the bigger story of, we just went through the Hall of Fame voting again, right? And this year nobody got elected, and you see the Bonds and Clemens and those guys, still aren't getting the votes, right? And if you think about really what they were doing, and I'd love your opinion on this, right? It's like, were they really strengthening, or were they really just trying to get through the rigors of the major league season and be able to deal with recovery? And I just wonder what you think about that.
Well, I don't really want to talk about those guys individually. And I don't know enough and educated enough on steroids and what it does. I think what you kind of have heard over the time and listening to people talk about it, it is the fact that there's certain guys like if you play 162 games in baseball, there maybe, we always talk about it. There's one day that you feel great, and that's the first day of spring training because you haven't done anything, right? After that, something always hurts. It seems like something's always a little sore, something's a little off, right? And I think what you heard from that, and there's probably over the course of a season, if you're playing every day, I was a guy that played 162 a few times.
Yep.
Tried to play every day. I wanted to play every day. There are probably 10 days a year that you really go to stretch or go to feeling you're like, man, I feel good today, right? And what you hear from guys that have talked about that steroid era is that you felt like that every day, right? And that's where the advantage, I think, comes in. They also talked about vision, that vision went, focus and all that kind of thing. So I don't know enough about it to talk about it,
right?
But I think it was, in general, when you see guys in their 40s getting stronger, and that's when and if, the body just doesn't do that, right? So that's kind of I look at it as unnatural strength and not coming from hard work.
Yeah, totally. I saw somebody talking the other day on ESPN about this. I mean, everybody has their own opinions in terms of it, but somebody was saying that, they're making the argument that the Hall of Fame is about baseball history, and therefore, this is a part of the history, and, people should be able to still get in, even though they, in a lot of ways, cheated, if you look at it that way. And what's your perspective? I know obviously you did it the right way and worked hard, and there's that, but do you think about this from a baseball history perspective? Does that change anything in your mind, or?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much. I think the one thing, baseball is measured by numbers so much that we measure this guy had X amount of hits and X amount of homers and X amount of strikeouts and X amount of, this and that. And I think and I'll speak just as a fan of sports, right? I love watching all sports. Now I love greatness. I mean, love watching Michael Jordan play, just the greatness. Love LeBron, Kobe, these kind of guys, how great they are, right? And as a fan, I want to believe that that's coming from hard work and talent, right? I don't want to think that this guy kind of cheated to get that. The guys that win the gold medal and they come and take it away in the Olympics because they were doing something that, you weren't allowed to do.
Right.
And so I, as a fan, want to believe that, man, this guy was great. And think about all the hard work and be able to tell your kid, this guy, he was a great player, but he worked his butt off, right? And he had to do this and that. It didn't come easy for him. Right. So that's what I want to believe as a fan. And that's what I want the Hall of Fame to be. It's greatness, right? These guys are great, great players. And knowing just from playing baseball, how good these guys are, right, that are in the Hall of Fame. And we're able to do it for a long time. And that's kind of the beauty also, right? There's guys, we talked about Henry Aaron just the other day, probably the best player that ever played.
Yeah.
Right. Probably the best player. If you want to look at all the numbers, all the stuff this guy was able to do, probably the greatest player of all time. 23 years. I mean, the love of playing, to play that long, and obviously you've seen at the very end, he wasn't the same Hank Aaron. He probably is in the middle of his career. But I mean, to play that long and to train and to continue to get ready to play on a daily basis and go face all the guys you got to face every night, that to me is part of greatness too, right? That longevity. And I love seeing it. I love seeing it with guys.
I saw the other day, LeBron James is 36 and it's his 18th season in the NBA. So he's, over half his life.
It's crazy. You know what, too? Actually, you've seen it. I think we're seeing guys now that know how to train better, right? That take care of their bodies. You see the tennis players. Remember, they used to be done. They get in their late 20s. These dudes were done. They weren't winning Wimbledon anymore. They may have been out there on the circuit, but they were fake. Now you're seeing the Federers of the world. These guys extend their careers. I think they take care of their bodies. They've got teams of people that they talk about sleep. They talk about nutrition. They talk about recovery. All the things they talk about, guys are learning to extend their career. I mean, we're going to watch the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. Tom Brady's a great example, right?
Yeah.
Extended career, guys that take better care of themselves. They eat properly. They do the things that maybe we didn't know about, right? We were hitting McDonald's and before the game. Now we have chefs in the locker room, right? True story. I mean, with the Yankee Stadium, there was no food in the clubhouse when I played. Maybe something after the game. So a day game, you get there after a night game, you're sending the kids to get a Wendy's, right? And that's what you're playing on. Now they have chefs. You walk in the morning, full breakfast. Probably have more food right before the game if you wanted it. So guys are learning, probably guys and girls are learning to take care of their bodies better, extend their careers, massage, the whole thing, right? Any way they can. So it's interesting to me how careers are getting extended now.
Yeah, you're right. It's a good point, and it's education and awareness around health, right? And
Right.
That's right on point with what we're talking about. You brought up other sports. I've never asked you about this, but you played basketball, I know. And could you have gone on and played basketball in college? Did you have opportunities to do that at any level?
I did. Probably not obviously not the same level I would have in baseball. But like Indiana State, I had signed to go to Indiana State, and they talked about me being two-way, play basketball and baseball. I was running out of steam, honestly, in basketball. 6 foot, and just being a good athlete in high school, competitor, very competitive, obviously. So I was good for that level. I think the next level would have probably been over my head.
Right. I was reading something. I was just trying to read. I was reading your Wikipedia, actually. I didn't know you played a couple of innings at second base and at third base.
No.
Was that the Pine Tar game? Is that the one of those games?
Second base was the Pine Tar, right?
Yeah.
That was like 1 out. Third base was a real deal. We were in Seattle. I think Pagliarulo may have been hurt. He wanted to get another lefty in the lineup. I think he wanted to get Pasqua in the lineup. Lou comes in before the game and he says, "Hey, in a pinch, could you play third?" And I said, I can catch a ground ball, Lou. And I played baseball your whole life, right? You think you can play anywhere, right? Growing up, I played third, but I was ambidextrous, so I played third, right-handed, short right-handed, caught. So you think you just know how to play baseball. So I said, "Yeah, Lou, I can catch a ground ball." And he said, "We'll take a few grounders there before the game." So it's like in a pinch, if something happens, right? About the fifth inning, Don, you're going to third. First ball, double play ball, which was kind of cool. Yeah, double play ball, turn to double play. Just
you playing left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed. Play a little bit to my left, just a little inside turn, double play ball, which was cool. And then he started me there the next day.
Wow.
And I'll tell you what, I don't know if I played another game there. I could hardly lift my arm. The throw was so much different than first base, and all the way across the field, and you just have to a little bit more, and I wasn't used to it. It was a different angle, different everything, just new muscles.
Right.
I could hardly lift my arm after like 3 days. It's crazy.
Wow, it
was fun though. It was fun just to be able to do it.
Yeah. So it just speaks to your athleticism, right? I mean, it's everybody that thinks about you, thinks about the hitting, right? But was it 9 Gold Gloves? And where did you get your love for baseball? I mean, I guess that's really the question. I mean, you're a pretty good athlete in everything, it seems like, but what was the love of baseball? Where did that come from?
You know what? I think baseball loved me more than anything. I probably had more of a love for basketball than any of the others because you can go shoot, you can dribble, you can shoot free throws, you can work on your right hand, your left hand. You can do all that by yourself in basketball. Baseball, you need a group of guys to play, so you can only play when you can get 4 or 5 guys together and go play somewhere and do something, right? And it really came, I think, as my freshman year of high school. I was at Memorial High School, and you were in Evansville for a while.
Yep.
That was a dominant program. Quentin Merkel, great coach. He comes to me as a freshman and says, "You're going to play varsity." And I was like, I didn't know this dude knew who I was, right? And obviously, he'd seen me play Babe Ruth or knew my brothers or whatever. And so I played varsity baseball, did pretty well for a freshman, hit over 300. Ended up getting picked to play on the Legion team, which at that time, American Legion baseball was pretty good. Kids would come back from college and play up to 19 years old, right? So I'm 15, playing Legion against some guys that are, 4 or 5 years older than me. Well, we played a team in Owensboro. I think the guy's name was Mark King. It's something King. And he was the Reds' #1 draft pick. And he's going to pitch against us. So we go over to play him his last game, his last day before he signs, right? Well, I go 2 for 3 with 2 doubles. We beat him 2-1. And I start getting letters. So I was like, I think I'm going to play baseball, right? So then I got these letters from Cincinnati and different teams. And it's like from that point on, I still love the other sports, but it was like I had a special, thought. Everything I was doing was about baseball, working on my wrist and doing things in my basement and wanting to get stronger in my hands and things like that. So then, use both hands to eat and just different things that make you better. And so from that point on, really, I turned to baseball, and I thought, baseball found me. I didn't find baseball.
Oh, that's a great story. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Did you ever bat right-handed?
A little bit in Little League, and I wish I would have kind of stayed with it because you try to face Randy Johnson and that slider left-handed, that is no fun. So that's when I would have wished could have hit right-handed.
Absolutely. Just another fun thing with you, you were on The Simpsons, right? Matt Groening. Did you get to meet anybody there? Tell us about that experience.
It's pretty weird. It wouldn't have been much different than what we're doing. Went to a studio, read some lines, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it. Me and Steve Sachs, we were both on the Yankees at the time. We were playing the Angels in Anaheim, and they put us in a car, sent a car for us. We went down, and I guess we went to LA. I don't even know. I wasn't paying that much attention. Went, shot the thing or recorded it and left, and that was it. And it's really obviously turned into a huge thing over the years. And it's funny, we went to Australia a couple of years ago when I was managing the Dodgers. More people said, "Hey, Mattingly, shave those sideburns." They didn't know nothing about my baseball. They knew that show, though, which is crazy to me.
It's funny. I was just about to say, you got to shave those damn sideburns.
Exactly. I've never seen the whole show. People have asked me. I've never watched the episode.
Well, of course, that's for those listeners who don't know, that's kind of it's a kind of a shot at Steinbrenner, right? And making you get a haircut, right? What was that all about? I mean, you're pretty, genuine guy. I can't imagine you putting up any fight on getting a haircut.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, and that's the kind of perception that was Steinbrenner. He wasn't even there at the time. He was out of baseball. He'd gotten some kind of suspension for something, and he wasn't even around the team at the time. And that scene or that clip we made that before it happened.
No way.
That's what's crazy about shaving the sideburns and everything.
That's
But that whole thing was really about, it was the I don't know what year it was, but that's kind of the mullet days, right? Everybody in baseball, a lot of guys had longer hair.
Well, I
And
had one.
yeah, did you have it at one point, right? uh, so, everybody in the team, I felt like it was similar, right? And it's funny because they came to me like before the game. Stump Merrill was the manager, and he says, "If you don't get a haircut, you can't. You're not going to play tonight." And I was like, "What?" And it's like he hadn't said anything to me before that. Nobody told me to get a haircut before that moment, right?
Just out of the blue.
Uh, so when I started thinking, and the Yankees have always been really good. They'll bring back guys on rehab, trying to bring back in outlaws and guys that have had trouble. Mr. Steinbrenner was great. He was a second chance guy. I mean, he'd have guys in there that were out of shape and been at the fat farm. He's trying to get them back. Guys that had been in drug rehabs, all that kind of stuff. And I started thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I come to camp every year. I'm in shape. I don't complain. I play hurt. Try to play every day. And now all of a sudden, it's going to be like they're going to single me out for that, and not even giving me a chance to go get a haircut. It was like, if you don't get it cut today before the game, you don't play. So I left. I remember leaving the office and I started thinking about it. And so I walked back in, I don't know, probably 15 minutes later. It's like, hey, I'm not going to play. It was just like one of those things. I was like, it's not right. It was more about it's not right. And it wasn't about not getting a haircut. If they told me to get a haircut the day before, I would have got a haircut.
Right.
And I got a haircut the next day. And moved on. And actually, they ended up apologizing to me for the way it was handled, which was fine. But it's one of those things. It's still there.
Yeah. Crazy story. So what's it like? Manager of the year. You've got a really young team. You're working with Derek Jeter, who I know you've had a good relationship with over the years. Now, how do you, there's a lot of pressure now on you to go to that next step, or how are you looking at this season? It's obviously expectations are higher now, right? Last year you kind of come out of nowhere, and how's that feeling now in terms of the pressure to build on what was happening last year?
I'll answer it the same way we talk to our players about, is that I want to have high expectations all the time. I don't care what anybody else's are. Even the year we lost 105 games a couple of years ago. And I know we didn't have any expectations, but I expected to win every day, right? And I prepared to win every day. I ask our players to prepare to win every day, play the game the way you're supposed to play it, and give yourself a chance to win every day. So I always want to have higher expectations on myself than anybody else. And that way there's always pressure. You always put pressure on yourself to perform, to be ready, to do your best, right? And so I look at it the same way. I think we're on the way. I think last year we may have been a year early. The 60 game probably helped us a little bit because we were able to jump out there. We kind of got a little attitude about us when everybody singled us out. Like we were out, our team was out running around,
right.
Didn't listen to any of the rules, any of that stuff. That bothered our guys. And I think it galvanized them a little bit. So, but one thing we knew we got good pitching. And we're like, we can compete with anybody. And we may have a bunch of names that everybody knows, but we know, and I think teams know, you come in to face us, or we come in, you're going to face probably three guys. If you're playing 3-game set, you're going to probably face three guys that are pretty good.
Yep.
You better be ready to go, or these guys can shut you down. And so we were probably a tick early last year. We're in a tweener year, I think, this year, because we got a bunch of young guys that are coming, and you don't want to go sign guys that are in that way, right? These guys could blossom. This little year of experience last year could turn these guys in. We could have 2 or 3 of these guys just pop this year and take off, and all of a sudden our lineup just goes boom, right? And all of a sudden our young guys take off. It may take us more than that, but I think we're in a tweener year. If a couple of our young guys pop, we're going to be really good, because I think we'll pitch. Obviously, all that's always staying healthy. You never know what happens. You lose a couple starters, you look different. But if our starting pitcher stays healthy and if we can get a young guy or two to pop, we're going to be pretty good. And I know our division is really good. The Mets are going crazy. The Braves are really good. They got a really good club. Philly's going, they just signed Realmuto. They got good players. The Nationals are signing people. So it's a tough division. But, we're at the point now, I think everybody knows we're for real. We're going to have to play really well to win the division. I hope that the players would agree to expand the playoffs again. Honestly, I think that would help us and the DH. So we'll see what happens.
Where did you're such a positive, encouraging person, right? Where did that come from? How did you develop that personality? Who in your life really influenced you to approach things the way you do?
You know what? I think, honestly, I tell people, and another one of those things you think about later, like my dad and mom were like, my dad was really quiet. My mom talked all the time, but always kind of just fun stuff, right? Nothing. And whole family was athletic. So, I mean, I was at games all the time. I was at my brother's games. My parents were there every game of mine, pretty much. Not once my whole life, and I get emotional when I think about it, did I ever get criticized after a game? Like I didn't go home and go, you gotta start hustling. You gotta make that play. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. You gotta start working harder. But on the other end of that, it was never a big praise either. It wasn't like, oh man, you're doing so good. You're great. You're so good. Right. It was more like, we went to the game, we played, kept it in perspective, and we went home. And I really looking back at that, I think I played fearless, right? Had no fear of screwing up because mom and dad's not going to jump me when I get home if I have a bad game. And you learn to take criticism from your coaches, how you have to get better and things that, that coaches do. But that always came easy because it was like, okay, tell me how to get better. He's telling me how to get better. Or he's trying to help me, right? I always looked at that. I think my dad had such a huge influence because there was no fear of screwing up. And so, like, I always look at the bright side of things. I never, always, quite honestly, if I got a team that's not considered to be really good, you really can win a game every day. If you play well, these things fall in place. You can win a game every day. And that's why I keep it simple and look at it like that.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. That's probably a great spot to just wrap it up. I wish you the best of luck this year, Don. And there's a lot of people pulling for you. We just can't wait to see you guys having success even more so there in Miami.
I appreciate it.
Hey,
so are we still in the air? We're still taping, right? You can keep taping.
Yeah.
So as you're talking, like I'm going to let people hear this and see if they'll go check it out.
Okay.
Like, as you're talking, you're all calm, right? And you're like real, like keeping the voice right there. I'm thinking of Pete Schweddy on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Alex Baldwin.
Sweaty balls.
Seriously. Have your listeners listen and see if they get it.
That's great. That even better spot to end right there.
All right, Ashley. Hey, man, it's good to be on with you. And hope to see you when we get out there in Colorado this year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you, Don. Take care and have a great year, man.
All right, buddy. Talk to you.
Be well. As always, we're brought to you by Magic Immunity. This is a new mushroom tea that I've been drinking to help build my immune system to be stronger, as well as to give me healthy lungs, healthy heart, and healthy gut. And I also love the fact that it's a neuro-optimizer, meaning that it's going to help my brain remain calm, help give me calm, focused energy, and never get the jitters. There's not caffeine in this. Instead, this is packed with life, as they say, meaning it contains 4 medicinal mushrooms, reishi, lion's mane, chaga, and cordyceps, as well as 12 other organic and natural adaptogens, including cacao, ginger, and turmeric. Give it a try. You can get Magic Immunity on Amazon or at packedwithlife.com. Hope you try it. It tastes great. I'm drinking it right now. On ice. Yummy. Taste the health right there. Have a great day.